Welcome to the Money Watch Show. It's Sunday, November 2nd, and we are here answering your financial questions. And I am Jill Schlesinger, CBS News business analyst and certified financial planner. And I am joined by Mark Talercio, who is the executive producer of Everything I Do in Life, as well as a certified financial planner. And I am always delighted to co-host this program with him. Hello, Mark.
Hello, Jill. Happy first week in November.
I can't believe it. And you know what that means? Because it's the first week in November. It means there's just 2 months left in the year. And that means that it is time to start thinking about your year-end financial planning. What? Already? Yes. And if that is something that's percolating in your mind, why don't you think about subscribing to Jill on Money Live? That is our subscription service where you have access to 4 quarterly live webinars for the next 12 months. The back catalog of those webinars, bonus audio and video content. And our next webinar is Wednesday, November 19th at 7 Eastern Time. Again, we've got a certified financial planner, Jana Davis. She is a partner and a financial planner at Abacus, and she's amazing. She is going to walk us through what we need to do before the end of the year for tax and financial planning, only for members of Jill on Money Live. So about a month ago, I did a segment on CBS Mornings called The Middle Class Squeeze. And I don't know why it was like, I always think about, like, it's so hard to even think about what is the middle class. Because I've been hearing from people who, not so much on our shows, but more from the television viewing audience, who just feel like you keep talking about the market. Things don't feel so great to me. So first things first, I want to try to go a little bit deeper. I wanted to go deeper into this. And so what I did was, more recently, I kind of used this idea of the middle class being squeezed and used it as a way to kind of explain what is going on in the economy and how people are feeling about it. So, Mark, first, let's do this. Middle class, you ready? It is defined as real median household income, real meaning it's inflation adjusted, median, same number above and below. Real median household income, the government says that we go from 2/3 to double real median household income, which means that we have a range. Let's just give it basics. About 50 grand to 160,000 is how Pew Research would define middle class. Okay.
Based on where you're living.
Yeah. I mean, they don't say like per area, but that range will give you like 160 probably in New York City feels like 60 somewhere else in the middle of the country where the cost of living is lower, right? Okay. This range of about 50 to 160 covers just over half of the population. And by the way, it's also true that the middle class has been shrinking a little bit. Okay. Now, earlier this year, middle-class Americans were feeling pretty good about the economy, but things have not gone so well. This year, people are getting a little bit anxious. And the most important thing that I can tell you is that there was an article that went viral in my world of financial planning and investment management and covering this stuff. There was a survey that found that the American dream feels out of touch for many Americans. Only 25% of people that were surveyed in this Wall Street Journal poll said they have a good chance of improving their standard of living. Mark, it's a record low since all the polling began in 1987. I think that this is probably has a lot to do with the housing market, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly difficult to get in if you're not already in.
And I think that's the real issue.
Is that what defines the American dream? You're a homeowner?
Okay. So the American dream that is generally, this is like from post World War II, is that, hard work leads to getting ahead is essentially what they say is the American dream. But it's like, I can raise my family and they'll do better than I did. And usually a house becomes part of the American dream. But I think many people conflate owning a home with the American dream. Okay.
I
really
crossed
do.
my mind.
I mean, and just, some of the numbers here to give you this like underscore is that because of how much housing has gone up and that interest rates are higher, is that essentially 70% of middle class families cannot actually afford to buy a home. Okay. So it doesn't mean that you're not part of the American dream. You can't do better. It's just that when homeownership is unattainable, I think it fundamentally changes people's view of what's going on in the economy. I really do. So as a result, I think this is something that is carrying forward into where we are today.
Perhaps the American dream needs to be reframed or rebranded. I
mean, I think that wouldn't be a bad thing. I really don't. I think that would be a good thing. So the reason why I'm talking about this today, now, a month or so after I did this originally, is that I pitched a story to the morning show to say, I just feel like people think they're going crazy. I really do. I think they're like, hearing about the market is doing well, or the economy's doing well. I don't feel it myself, Jill or Mark. And so this is a nod to the fact that you're not crazy. They really do feel like there are two American economies. And so I want to actually play a segment on CBS Mornings. The anchors were Vladimir Duthiers, Gail King, and Nate Burleson. And we'll come back on the other side. Mark and I'll talk about it a little bit. But here is the segment of, wow, a have and a have not economy, or two American economies. And I'm really interested in hearing what you all think about this after you hear this. So Mark and I'll talk more when we come back from this segment.
All right. So the stock market is up 13%. Big banks are saying that they're making money, but many Americans are saying we are struggling. What do you make of what's going on right now in the overall economy?
What we know is, despite the stock market, which is just a measure of companies' ability to make money in the future, that the economy is slowing down from last year's pace. We grew at about 2.8% last year. Most economists are pegging 2% for this year. Tariffs, obviously, uncertainty, but we're still growing, and that is important. But we have seen that tariffs have created some price pressures. We've also seen that the uncertainty around tariffs has caused a lot of Americans to become unnerved. But overall, again, the big push in this economy so far is this spending on AI, billions of dollars that companies are spending on artificial intelligence. By some measures, it's about 40% of the overall economic spending going on right now. So that, plus high income earners who are spending, that has kept the economy afloat right now.
There's been a lot of fear, a lot of talk about a market crash or even a correction. Is there anything people should do or can do to protect themselves against that? And how likely do you think that is?
I hate the word inevitable. Some people believe it's coming.
Here's what I want everyone to know. Crash is a very loaded word. Will the market take a breather at some point? Of course. I don't know when that's going to be. I don't have a crystal ball out here that's going to tell you what's going to happen. If you are an investor, you should know that you usually come in with a game plan. Some money in stocks, some money's in bonds. If the stock position has gotten much bigger than what you thought you wanted it to be, if all of a sudden you're 80% in stocks instead of 60, go ahead and rebalance your account. Take some money out, get back to your prior allocation. But I want to be clear about why some of the anxiety is popping up among regular Americans.
Exactly, because what about the people that don't have stock portfolios?
Exactly.
I'm just talking about people that are living day to day.
Exactly. So what we know, we had a bank rate survey that came in and said, how many people have gotten a raise in the last year? And in this survey, just about half of people said, yeah, I got a raise over the last year. But that means about half did not. And so the cumulative effect of inflation, prices at the grocery store, prices for daycare, prices for housing, prices for healthcare, that is putting pressure on people. Even if you are lucky enough to have a retirement plan at work, that is for decades in the future. It doesn't help you for the here and now.
That's what the
so what they need to do is,
okay,
first of all, you're not alone. You should not feel crazy. That's very important. Number two, make sure you watch your spending in the holiday season. Number three, work your network. Talk to people. You know how you get another job? You talk to people. Networking is a loaded word, but I need people to understand one person a week is where you need to go.
Okay, so Mark, if you don't own a house and you don't own a stock, it's hard to feel good about your situation, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, those are the two easiest ways to kind of be able to measure where things are going in your life.
Yeah, I think one of the things that is very difficult is, especially if you're in your 30s and your 40s, even if you are invested in the stock market, as I said during the segment, that even if you are invested, you don't have access to that money. Even if you said, I'm glad the market's going up, but it doesn't make me feel like I can afford the things that I want to buy for me and for my family, or that I'm feeling enough financial stability to make a big decision like buying a home. So I think that this is also one of those things where if you don't participate in the economy that is thriving, you're not an AI programmer, or you're not a big bank that's making tons of money, or you're not a bigger investor where investing will make up a lot of the ground you're losing maybe just to getting a raise, then you don't feel so good. And by the way, the labor market is a little bit weird right now. It really is. You know, we're hearing more and more that people are turning to their side hustles to bring in extra cash, that they are really worried about their own ability to get a raise. I mean, you heard in the segment where the number of people who are getting a raise, which is keeping up with the cost of living, is not that much. It's about, 70% say their income is falling behind their cost of living. Now, I get it. Don't write in mad. I know that there are people who are making decisions about that, where they are choosing flexibility over pay. I get that. But it still doesn't make up for the fact that we know that people are paying more for a lot of their, not just the American dream, but they're paying more for childcare. They're paying more for healthcare. They're paying more even just for their rent. So it's expensive to be out there.
Utilities.
Utilities. Oh my God. Utilities. I mean, you can thank AI for that, because all of that and investment into electricity is causing prices to rise. So all I'm trying to say is I don't have the solution to this. I'm not some fancy economist or even policy analyst who can give you the solution. What I can tell you is, if you don't feel like you're really participating in the American dream, you're not alone. But if you do need some help and you want to try to maybe get yourself on pace to do something, whatever it is you think you want to do, then I encourage you to get in touch with us, please, because this is where I do think we can help give you ideas. I can't give blanket advice to policymakers because, I'm not that person. I can give advice to you. Mark and I are both certified financial planners. We'd love to help you find a way to take a step forward and grab some control over what is essentially a very scary and volatile period of time for the U.S. economy. So get in touch with us. Go to JillOnMoney.com, click the Contact Us button, write us a note. And if you would like to join us live, which I really encourage you to do, especially when we're talking about these kinds of issues, like big picture issues, where we can ask you follow-up questions, just check the box. Mark will arrange to come on the air. It'll be fantastic. You can subscribe to us on the Odyssey app or wherever you get your favorite podcast. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you listen. Mark Talercio is the co-host and executive producer. He's the king of all things web at Jill on Moneyland. And we drop our episodes on Saturdays and Sundays. Try to lift someone up, change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next week.